Good morning, Veritas. Today is the lesson for Friday, April 24th, 2020. Hope you guys have had a nice week. We had most of the week off, and then now this is our second day back to work. So last day, then we have our weekend, so let's work hard today, watch our math videos, and then I have a science video for later, which I'm going to talk about some cool things involving how coal was formed. So make sure you watch that one. All right, and let's get started with this assignment here. For Friday, April 24th, 2020, if you look in your Google Classroom assignments, you will find these 3 questions, and we will get started with them now. I got myself a whole paper blank and a few extra pieces just in case I need them. Okay, let's start with number 1. Which 2 fractions could be used to represent the product of 2/6 and 12? And then it gives us options, A, B, C, or D. So I'm going to read it just the first time through like I did. Now I'm going to read it again and start thinking a little more carefully about it. Okay, which 2 fractions? So now I'm going to look here. There's only 1 fraction in each answer. So I need to choose 2 of these answers. So sometimes it'll say which 2 fractions, and then A will have 2 choices. So then you just need to choose 1. So when it asks you to choose more than 1 of something, you got to really look carefully at the answers. So it says to choose 2. I do not want to forget that, because if I forget that, I will get no credit for this problem. If I get 1 of the correct answers, the problem is still going to be marked wrong. You need to have 2 correct answers to get the points for this problem. So I'm going to write in big letters, choose 2, so I don't forget that. All right? So I'm choosing 2. Which 2 could be used to represent the product of 2/6 and 12? And now this word product is telling us which operation that we need to do in order to solve this problem. So to find the product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So to find the product, we're going to have to multiply, because product will be the answer when you multiply these 2. So the product of them will be multiplying them. So we're going to multiply 2/6 times 12 to find their product. Okay? And then we're going to choose 2 of these. And I wrote that real big here to make sure that I don't forget. Okay, so 2/6 times 12. So we've done this a little bit. You can write this 12 as a denominator with a 1 as the denominator. Anytime you have a whole number, like 12 wholes, right, that would be like 12 circles. I'm not going to draw 12, but if I drew 12 of these, that would be representing 12. So each of those 12 holes only has 1 big piece. They're not cut into pieces like halves or fourths or anything like that. So the denominator is telling us how many pieces are in each hole. So for all 12 of these holes, they're just 1 big piece. So we can write the denominator as a 1. That way we can multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. Okay, this denominator of 6 is telling us that the whole has 6 equal pieces in it, and we have 2 out of 6 equal pieces. Okay, so with these 12, each of them is just 1 big piece, so we can write the denominator like that. And then it's simple. You just multiply the numerators. 2 times 12 is 24, and then you multiply the denominators. 6 times 1 is 6. And then we're left with 24/6. So 6/6 equals 1. All right, if I had this cut into 6 pieces, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I had that cut into 6 equal-sized pieces, all 6 out of 6 would equal 1. So 24/6 is an improper fraction. It's greater than 1. So we got to see, if I count by 6, how many times can I do that to get to 24? Or what number times 6 equals 24? Because when you have an improper fraction, this is division. This is 24 divided by 6. So we have 24 divided by 6 equals how much? Or what number times 6 gets you to 24? And if you count by 6s, you can just, if you don't know your facts, you can just add 6, add 6, add 6. And look, we get to 24. So that's 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 6 times 3, 6 times 4. So 4 times 6 is 24. The answer to this problem is 4. Let's see if 4 is one of our options. Yes, it is. So C is correct. That is one of our options. It's 4. Now we have to be real careful that you don't get so excited and say, yes, I got 4. Yep, ready for the next problem. Because guess what? We have to choose 2. And that used to happen to me, right? I'd get so excited, like, yes, I did it right. I got the answer 4, and there it is, that I'd forget to choose the second one. And I guarantee you that that's what a lot of you do. I know for a fact that that's what a lot of you do. So we got to be really careful now. And that's why I wrote this so big right in the way. Like, I can't miss that right now. I need to choose a second one. So we have 24/6, 6, or 2 4/6. Before we divided, it was 24/6. 24 divided by 6 was where we got 4. So 24/6 as an improper fraction also represents the product of 2 6 times 12. So 24/6, we already had that answer. We just need to look carefully and go back to this improper fraction was our product before we divided it to get the final answer of 4. So 24/6 and 4 are both the same thing. These are equivalent. So those are both correct. And now we chose 2. Check it off. 24/6, A, and 4, C. Give yourself some snaps if you got that. Nice work. That was tough. If you only chose one, then unfortunately you don't get any credit for that problem. So that's why we're practicing this now. Make sure you're really, really careful and use some strategies to help you make sure that you choose the correct number of answers. Okay, number 2, we've done some of these. Let me make myself some space here. Here is a place value problem. Read it carefully. And at the end, what's really important with this is it's easy to divide instead of multiply or multiply instead of divide. So we got to carefully make sure that we chose the correct operation. So that means that at the end, when we get our answer, we need to check, did it get bigger if we're multiplying, or did it get smaller if we're actually dividing or if we're multiplying by a fraction? Okay, so we'll talk more about that when we go through this. So how many times larger is the 6 in 26.8 than the 6 in 35.6? So we're comparing this 6 to this 6. Sorry, this 6 to this 6. How many times larger is the 6 in this one? So it's telling us that it is larger, right? How many times larger? So let's see. We're going to start with this one. 26.8 is how many times larger than 35.6? So the 6 in 26.8, because it says how many times larger is the 6 in 26.8. That's 6 ones, because that is the ones place right before the decimal point. So that's 6. And I'm going to put the decimal point there just to make sure that I don't make any mistakes when moving it. So 6, how many times larger is 6 than this 6, which is 0.6? So 6 is how many times larger than 0.6? How many times larger is 6? How many times larger than this 6? 0.6. That's the value. So we have this. 6 is how many times 0.6? So now we got to think about, I'm going to kind of move it over here for a second. We are starting with this one. Just because this comes first in the sentence, this is the one where we are actually multiplying. We're taking 0.6 and we're multiplying it times something to get the decimal point to be over here so that now it's 6. So we're starting here and we need to decide, we have to move it to there. So we are going to move it one place to the right. So we move that decimal point one place to the right. Okay? So if we moved it one place to the right, we know we either multiplied by 10 or divided by 10. So we have to be careful. And just a little review. This is multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So instead of saying divided by 10, we're actually going to multiply by 1/10 if we need to divide. So that is the same thing as dividing by 10. Timesing by 1/10 is the same thing as dividing by 10. And we've spent a lot of time in school learning this. So we're either going to, if we need to divide, we're going to multiply by 1/10. And if we just multiply, then we're going to be multiplying by 10. So let's say we moved it one place to the right. So we know it's 10, it's not 100 because it only moved one place, not 2. So since it moved one place, we know that it's either 10 or 1/10. So let's check. If we say it's 10, we got to check it. 10 times 0.6. So if I took 0.6 and I multiplied it by 10, it should get bigger. And it did. It became 6. So 0.6 got bigger when I multiplied it, and it turned into 6. It got bigger by 10 times. So yes, 10 is correct. Okay, it's really important to make sure that the one that you multiplied, if it's multiplying by a whole number, that means it's going to get bigger, which it did. If it got smaller, then you know that it's not 10, it's supposed to be 1/10. So you got to be extra careful. When you think you have the right answer, that is one more step you have to just check. When I multiplied these, if I'm saying it multiplied by a whole number, then it should have gotten bigger. And this is 6/10, and this is 6/1, and 6/1 is bigger. So we are correct. The answer is 10. So 10 is the answer for that one. And those ones are just tough because you got to just really go slow and check at the end if your answer makes sense. Okay, give yourself some snaps if you got 10. Nice job. Last one. Number 3 says find the product of 867 and 45. So again, I'm not telling you what you need to do, except I'm trying to get you to learn these vocabulary words. Product, we already talked about it once today. Product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So to find the product of these two numbers, we're going to have to multiply them. So 867 times 45. 867, I'm going to use nice big letters, big numbers I mean. I'm going to line up my place value very carefully. Make sure that the ones and the tens and the hundreds would be all lined up. Check again that I have the right numbers. 867 times, because we're finding product, 45. 867 times to find the product, 45. So we're going to start in the ones place in the bottom right hand corner. Always start here. So basically we're going to ignore the 40 right now. We're just going to do 5 times 867. So we'll do 5 times 7, then 5 times 6, then 5 times 8. We're going to just ignore this 4 for now. So 5 times 7 is 35. So if you had 5 times 7 ones, you have 35 ones. So we're going to write the 5. We're going to carry the 30 over to the tens place here. Now we have 5 times 6 tens, right? 5 times 6 is 30 tens, plus 3 makes 33 tens. 33 tens is really 330, so we're going to carry the 3 over to 300, and we're going to write the 3 tens in the tens place. Then we do 5 times 800. So 5 times 8 is 40 hundreds. Plus the 3 that we carried is 43 hundreds, which turns out to be 4,300 or 4,300. Okay, so far we have our first partial product because it's part of the answer to this multiplication problem. Our first partial product is 4,335. So check yours. If you don't have 4,335, I want you to check and see where did you make your mistake. 5 times 7 is 35. You write the 5, you carry the 30. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 3 is 33. You'd write the 3, carry the 30. Then 5 times 8 is 40, plus 3 is 43. And since there's no more numbers here to multiply by, we're just going to write 43 in the correct place. Then I go cross off those 3's because we already used them. Here's something that kids might have done wrong. You might have forgot to hold the ones place with a 0. And I always put a smiley face to remind myself that I didn't like multiply this to get 0. You have to put this here in order to hold the place value. So we are now done with the 5, and all we're going to do is 40 times 867. So 40, this is 40, right? It's a 4 in the tens place, 45. So this 4 is 40. So we're doing 40 times 7. But the math we're going to do in our head right now, since we held this place value with the 0, is we can just do 4 times 7. So 4 times 7 is 28. But I want you to see that what we're really doing here is 40 times 7, which is 280. So the 80 is here now. If we didn't put the 0, it would be 8, and that would be wrong. The 80 is here, and we just carried the 200. Okay? Now we're going to do 40 times 60, but we just do 6 times 4, or 4 times 6 is 24, plus the 2 we carried makes 26. We're going to write 6 and carry the 20. Okay? And then last step, we're going to do 4 times 8 is 32, plus the 2 we carried makes 34. We're just going to write 34, but you got to be careful that the 3 is in the 10,000s place, and there were no 10,000s in this first one. So you might want to put in a 0 there, or just be really careful when you go to put your place values for the addition. So now our second partial product is 34,680. We did 4 times, we put the 0 first to hold the place value, hold the 1's place. 4 times 8 is 28, write the 8, carry the 20. 4 times 6 is 24, plus the 2 we carried makes 26, write the 6, carry the 20. 4 times 8 is 32, plus the 2 we carried makes 34. And since there's no more numbers, no more digits here to multiply by, we're just going to write 34 in the correct place. Then we add the partial product. So check your second partial product. It's part of the answer to this multiplication problem. It should be 34,680. Now we're adding this partial product, part of the answer, to this partial product, this part of the answer, and we'll have our full answer. 5 plus 0 is 5. 8 plus 3 is 11, carry the 1. 6 plus 3 plus 1 is 10, carry the 1. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And this is just 3 by itself. I put this dotted 0 sometimes just to make sure that I don't add the 3 to this 4 or make another place value mistake like that. So that's just 3. And the answer is 39,015. So the product of 867 and 45,000 is 39,015. Sorry, the product of 867 and 45 is 39,015. Okay? So I'm just going to quickly check and see, like, is my answer reasonable? So I'm going to kind of round both of these just for a final check, just to say, did I make any place value mistakes when I went to put these in? Did I mess anything up a little bit? So 867, I'm going to say that's about 900. We'll kind of round it up to 900. And 45, we could round that to 40, or we could round that to 50. But since we went up with the 800, why don't we go down with the 45? And we'll just say, what's 900 times 40? Because that'll make us, we just kind of estimated, that's about 900, that's about 40. So when we multiply these, it should be pretty close to this, okay? So we can do this easy. 9 times 4 is 36. And then there are 1, 2, 3 more zeros that we have to put on the end, which makes 36,000. So since our answer, even though it was 3,000 away, 36,000 as an estimate compared to 39,000, I'm going to say that is a reasonable answer because those are pretty close. We're really looking for place value. Like, did I mess any place value up? So if this said 300,000, then I'd know I messed up. If this said just 3,000, then I'd know I messed up with the place value. But since they're both going to the 10,000s place, it's 36,000 compared to 39,000. Those are reasonably close. I'm going to say that that's a reasonable answer. Okay, so that's the answer. So for today, number 1 was A and C, number 2 was 10, and number 3 was 39,015. So give yourself some snaps. Nice work. And I hope you guys all have a nice weekend. I will see you on Monday. Keep up the good work. Keep watching the videos. And check out the science one that I put on in a few hours. All right. Have a good weekend. Bye.